Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Archibald. Here. Councilmember Fisher.
Here.
Councilmember Lewandowski.
Here.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Moeller.
Here.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Here.
Mayor Rupp.
Here. We have the minutes before us from the regular meeting of June 28th. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Lewandowski. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Archibald. Is there any deletions, additions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. The minutes will stand as submitted. We have public hearings tonight, 2 of them. If the clerk will start with the first one, please.
Number 1 is to hear public comments from all persons interested in the maintenance costs of the Huron Avenue Streetscape project, which is from the north side of Black River to the south side of McMorran Boulevard, and for the purpose of reviewing said special assessment roll. Following the public hearing, council will consider a resolution to approve the continuation of the downtown special assessment district for the ongoing maintenance of Huron Avenue Streetscape project, including the special assessment roll and estimated maintenance costs.
Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to public hearing number 1? Seeing no one, I declare the hearing is closed, and we have before us the resolution if we have a motion.
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Is there a second?
Support.
Thank you, Councilmember Fisher. Is there any discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Fisher?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Moeller?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Mayor Rupp.
Yes. Public hearing number 2.
Is to hear public comments from all persons interested in the maintenance costs of the military streetscape project, which is from the south side of Black River to the north side of Court Street, and for the purpose of reviewing said special assessment roll. Following the public hearing, council will consider a resolution to approve the continuation of the downtown special assessment district for the ongoing maintenance of military streetscape project, including the special assessment roll and estimated maintenance costs.
Public hearing number 2. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on public hearing number 2? Seeing none, I declare public hearing number 2 closed, and we have the resolution for consideration if there is a motion.
Mayor Rupp,
Yes, Councilmember Moeller.
move for the adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Support.
Councilmember Fisher. Is there discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Fisher?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Moeller?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald? Yes. Mayor Rupp.
Yes. We'll move on now to public audiences. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to address the City Council tonight, you can come to the podium. You have 4 minutes, and if you would state your name, please, and you can come forward to the podium.
I'm Johnny Dog. Just a little short statement here. It's called I Flew My Flag High on 4th of July. I flew my flag high, and now ask me why. The skies are blue, and my fight is so true. I will lead them to the Valley of Freedom. I will not rest until my mission's complete. Every time they knock me down, I land on my feet. One man, one voice, and I want to be heard. Tell me your problems, and you'll be heard. A nation which forgets its defenders will itself be forgotten, but something in Port Huron smells rotten. I'm just trying to make a living. These actions will not be forgiven. I look into a child's eyes. I see life. Dressed as Scooby-Doo, the parents are loving it too. The harassment must stop because I'm steady as a rock, and I will never give up the fight because I am an American day and night. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to address the City Council?
Good evening, Mayor, City Manager, Council members. I'm here tonight. I expressed a few opinions on a few issues on tonight's agenda, right? Respectfully tonight, I would like to respectfully disagree with the legal opinion in communication number 2. I disagree for the following reasons. I welcome a chance to sign a petition that would limit the cost of water and sewer rates in the Port Huron. I think it's a proper thing to do, and I think it's It's within the laws of the state of Michigan. If you look under many of the laws in the Home Rule City Act in the state of Michigan, I believe there is some latitude that would allow this type of a charter amendment. The second issue that I would like to bring up tonight, under resolutions 2 through 10, there's a number of appointments that are being made tonight. I respectfully like to know how many of these people are residents of the city of Fort Huron. Some of these things really concern me, especially with the Quality of Life Commission. This commission has sat with 2 vacant seats for a number of months, and we have an applicant who sits here in the office tonight who still has not been nominated for one of the positions on that board. So I think it's really pertinent to find out that we're using our citizens to the most positive way we can. Another thing I'd like to bring up tonight, I would like to ask you not to support resolution number 12. According to the June 21st McMorran Authority meeting, the paintings that are talked about in resolution number 12 tonight were donated to McMorran in 1979. I guess my problem is the fact that the monies from these paintings that were donated to McMorran, McMorran will not benefit from any of this at all. The museum will benefit. I think if this property became the property of McMorran Arena in 1979, I think McMorran should benefit from some of these monies. And according to my understanding, this resolution does not benefit McMorran at all. Finally, I'd like to also say that I think the resolution here tonight to extend the boat night festivities is a little bit premature. Let's see what happens this weekend. Let's see how well this group does, and let's go from there. I think the month of August is a perfect time to see if we want to extend that contract or not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bernard Ellery. I live at 2721 Military Street. A couple things I'd like to touch bases on. I did apply for the Quality of Life Committee. I don't know why I didn't get picked to go on there. I have talked to the mayor. I've talked to Mr. Brown. Very confused at the appointment on it. Then I want to talk about, there was an article in the Port Huron Times-Herald about rental properties and eliminating. The problem that we have right now in the city of Port Huron is not so much the rental properties, it's the maintenance of the rental properties. If enforcement would enforce the rules of good landlordship, we would have less problems. A good landlord is not hard to come by. I would like to point some things out to you. Freddie and Fannie pretty much run the show on banking. With all of the foreclosures out there and people walking away from homes, they're changing the rules that you cannot even get a mortgage for 7 years after you lose a home. What I want to explain to you is there may not be people in our community that will qualify for mortgages. So then you're going to have these homes that investors can't buy and rent out. Those homes will stay on the market for a long period of time, which will drive our value of our homes down. So you better look at that real hard and long. If you're concerned about landlords, what I suggest you do, and I've suggested in the past, is mandate a secured bond on that property. So if you're a landlord, you can get a bond, and as you show your track record of being a good steward of that property for the community, the bond could be eliminated over a period of time. The bond would show that the landlord is committed to the community. And then the next thing I'd like to see is an occupancy permit. For now on, let's make it so that any home sold in the city of Port Huron has an occupancy permit. It does a couple things. It protects the neighbors from a home that may not be up to code. It protects the potential owner. It protects possibly the renter. It generates revenue for the city of Port Huron. And if a home isn't up to par, that work is going to have to be brought up to par, and somebody will be employed by doing that work. and the local stores will have to buy, they'll buy their supplies from them. Building permits in the city of Port Huron, as a realtors, go through the process of helping somebody buy a home, marketing a home, they should have to do just like they do on the homestead, is to notify the city that if something is going to be done, repaired, okay? So that people are getting permits. And I would like to hope that our inspection department isn't just doing a drive-by inspection of properties that are getting repaired. And then the last, but very important, unemployment in Port Huron. I would urge City Council and the City Manager to send letters to your congressperson about extending the unemployment benefits for our citizens. We all know, let's say, the fact is, it is more like 25% unemployment rate in Port Huron. A lot of the folks are going to be in trouble very soon.
Mr. Ellery, your time is up. Thank you.
My name's Margaret Enright. I live in the city of Port Huron, and I agree with Ken on this agreement with the festival management group. I do not think we should sign next year's agreement with them until you even find out what this year's is going to do, because it doesn't exactly sound like the sort of thing that I think is going to fly to the amount that you expect it to. And the other thing is, I really disagree with the tree removal and replacement streetscape phase 1, having Marine City Nursery Company when we have all kinds of those nurseries right here in our area. Why did we go out of town again? Once more, you send business somewhere else instead of helping this area that has the highest unemployment rate. That's my opinion.
Is there anyone else?
Good evening, Council and Mr. Brown. Jean Webb, Military Street, Port Huron. In regard to the rental property in the city, Mr. Brown, you want to reduce the number of units of rentals. Are you going to have Port Huron Housing reduce the number of their units? They are the biggest landlords with 444 units, I believe. It is my understanding that they don't pay property taxes. And it was our money as taxpayers that subsidized the building of them. When the city sold the senior complex on 7th Street, what was that money used for? Did it go towards sewer separation as it should have? Or was it used to pay for higher health benefits and raises for the staff in this building? If the city doesn't own the units in the Port Huron Housing, they at least appoint the board of directors and they control them. As a private landlord, you are my biggest competition. Have you considered how much you would lose on property taxes if half of those rentals were sold as owner-occupied? They get a tax break. We don't as landlords. The majority of foreclosures are owner-occupied. That isn't keeping the city looking any better. Instead of tearing down the houses that you are tearing down, maybe you should let an investor fix them up and keep them on the tax base. That is what a private sector would do. You don't look at the bottom line. If you would get rid of the income tax, you would find more people would want to live in the city. I'll bet none of the 444 units that Port Huron Housing have pay city income tax. And Mayor, if you're thinking of doing this, you better check to see if it's constitutional. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I'm Monica Mercurio, and I'm going to tell you my summer address, which is R30 River Street Marina. My husband and I have rented that particular dock for more years than I care to think about, because it's a lot of money, and we don't make that decision lightly. I mean, there are cheaper docks, and there are definitely docks that have a lot more amenities. But for the same reason that we buy all of our appliances from local merchants and not from the big box stores, we invest our money in the city of Port Huron because we want to see it succeed and thrive. We don't come down to the city one day a week on boat night. We are spending our money with local merchants multiple times throughout the season and through the winter. We care. I don't think you know a bigger cheerleader for boat night festivities than me. And there's one or two people in this room right now who've been down by our boat on boat night, and they could probably attest that it looks like a great big old-fashioned neighborhood block party. We don't just talk to the other boaters or to just our friends, but we encourage all the tourists who come by. A year hasn't gone by when we haven't had several who we've had chats with, who we've encouraged to come back, who we explain to them the different things besides boat night that they are going to miss if they don't come back to our city. And the jewel that that river is and that that lake is, that many of our residents don't really seem to realize. So imagine my surprise when those in the know have informed me that to access my boat with a case of water, I need special permission. Well, thank you, Council, for advocating for me. I've already spent the money. I thought my special permission was that contract I have that says paid in full. But I can't bring water down there or chips. And at the same time, I was informed boaters were to be removed from the dock and exiled to the interiors of their boats. So here is a question I have for all of you. Put yourself into the shoes of a tourist. Which would bring you back to this city? A whole bunch of boaters, friends, family, interacting with each other and with you, or a couple disgruntled boaters exiled to the interior of their boat? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council?
Good evening, Council. My name is Angela Kelly, and I think I'm a little too late for the maintenance cost of Huron Avenue. Too little too late, because I was working downtown. But I just wanted to let you know that I understand it's a done deal, but I think the reason that a lot of people didn't show up for this is because not a lot of people knew about it. I just read the agenda, you know, and was informed a little bit, and I talked to just a few business owners, and they said, yeah, we know it's around, but we didn't know it's getting voted on tonight. So I just wanted to make sure that, I know there's notices sent, but maybe there could be a more specific, hey, it's happening this certain date. But the thing I'm hearing over and over, and I don't know if you can do this, is that, for instance, in front of my family's business, we rely on our windows to show our wares and goods. And then once again, the new trees are blocking our windows. So maybe if you talk to the business owners themselves that are paying business, property, DDA, lots of taxes and lots of fees, that maybe what they want for it, what they see out of it, not just what someone is envisioning and what works. You know, not everyone, some people do want shade trees in front of their businesses and some don't. So I'm just asking you to keep that in mind. And as excited as I am about the Blue Water Fest and hopefully lots of people coming to enjoy our area, I know that this is a hot button issue tonight about for next year. Once again, I understand that there is a lot of things that take place with anything that's brand new, including the parking issues that we're going to have downtown. Thank God it is downtown. I'm very excited about that. But let's have more local vendors. Let's have more local bands. I'm not seeing the local businesses being used, and I hate to see us put $350,000, was it, in for all that money to just go back out. So I'm asking that if you do vote for this particular person or promotion company to do this, that next year there's more of an emphasis on local vendors getting a a steeper discount. The nonprofits, I know that they are being pretty good about working with them. And then also, as far as, if you're going to have bands, we've got talent here. We've got great artists, great bands, but they can't really necessarily afford what that this company is charging. It's a little steep, especially with the economy that we have here. So I just wanted to thank you again, and I hope everyone has a great boat weekend. So looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the audience? Council.
Good evening. My name is Brian Moeller. Speak about communications petitions number 2, which is on the consent agenda. I just want to thank Mr. Fletcher for his legal opinion, saying that the language that I provided to amend the charter, if we voted on it in November, it would affect the current charter, and if the new charter passed, it wouldn't affect it. So with that, I've decided to wait until after November. After reading the illegal opinion provided tonight by Miller, Canfield, Paddock, and Stone, I found this is no reason to stop my petition. And therefore, as a citizen, and I brought this forward as a citizen, I would ask the clerk and the legal counsel to continue to prepare my petitions in language for the ballot after the November election. The opinion says it is our opinion that any such proposal charter amendment purporting to limit the city's power to increase water and sewer rates more than a specific amount each year would be found by a court properly briefed, exercising reasonable judgment after full consideration of all relevant factors to constitute a non-constitutional impairment. I'm not asking for a limit to the city's power to increase water. The city is made up of the residents of this city and the people that vote. I'm simply asking for a limit to be put on the city council. There is a provision in my language that the citizens will have a right to vote and raise the water rates as high as they want. I'm simply stopping you from raising the water rates more than 3%. With that, I would ask that the city clerk and the city council continue my petition language for after the November election. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the city council?
Good evening. My name is Rock Stevens. I'm a property owner and business owner on Military Street here in Port Huron. And a couple issues I'd like to speak to, but it primarily has to do with resolution number 14. And as I'm reading in the Times Herald today, this is just kind of almost like a clerical kind of a thing, but it suggests in exchange, WITS will cut $10,000 off the city's $55,000 bill for this year's event. And obviously that sounds pretty exciting. That's pretty encouraging. But when I look at this particular document, and this was entitled First Amendment to the Event Agreement, this is section number 5, and it says, for the 2010 event, the city will pay JWA, John Woods Associates, a total fee of $50,000 for all of the services provided by JWA under this agreement, comma, if the overall budget, festival budget is $200,000 or less. $57,500 if the overall festival budget is $200,000 to $300,000. And when I look at a further page, I see that the total costs are well over $300,000 already. And if it's $300,000 plus, then that means it's not 50 or 55,000, 50,000. It's more like 65.5. And so just kind of a maybe, I mean, this is in the paper, people are reading that, and that's maybe not a true representation of what's actually going to happen. Now, I could be totally, misinformed if I'm reading the wrong thing into this, but it looks pretty clear and cut to me that if it's from $200,000 to $300,000, $65,500 will be awarded to that particular company. So it just seemed like that might have been a little bit of an oversight here, and I just thought that we should at least clarify that. So I don't know if anybody has more clarification, if I'm misspoken here and looking at this document, but clearly that's what it says as I read it. The other thing was just reading in the paper that we may be making a decision to go ahead and renew the contract for a future year, and I too would be one of the individuals who feel like I really thought this was exciting this year, and I still do, because we have new blood, new ideas, new enthusiasm, and I see that they can come in and almost kind of teach us. We're never too old to learn. And hopefully, we're going to learn a lot, because in the past, we've not necessarily done a terrific job. So I saw this as a great opportunity for all of us to have open minds and to learn from this experience. And I was hopeful from the onstart of this whole process that might open the door for us in the future, that we collectively could pool our brain power and pull off a similar successful event in the future. So I was a little disappointed to hear that we're already going to go ahead and grant an extension to next year to the same company, which seems to kind of maybe handcuff us a little bit in terms of being more involved in making decisions as it pertain to us as business owners in the downtown area. So I was hoping, I guess I didn't understand why the decision needed to be made right now, before we're even seeing what's going to happen over the next week. We're all very optimistic. The weather, Mother Nature sounds like it's going to cooperate. Hopefully it's going to be awesome. It's going to knock our socks off. But if we are collectively disappointed for whatever reason, again, it just seems like a little premature to make that decision right now tonight. So I guess my question is that offer only for tonight? Would it hurt to make that decision 2 weeks from now, a month from now? Anybody?
We will be discussing that at the time the item comes up, and I do believe Mr. Witz is going to be with us in the audience, so we'll be able to ask all those questions, okay? And your time's just about up, so.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the City Council?
Hello, my name is Marcy Fogel, and I'm the president of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And I would just like to thank the council, the mayor, and Bruce Brown for bringing Jonathan Witz to our community. In the last 13 years I've been with the Bureau, I don't think I've ever seen so much advertising for our community. You turn Channel 2 on all weekend long, it was the Blue Water Fest. It was downtown Port Huron. And I think that's what we need to look at. It's an opportunity for us to showcase to a very large audience. And I think that we need to realize that a visitor, a day visitor, spends approximately $116 in our community. An overnight visitor spends approximately $366 a night. So that's a great economic impact to our community. And I hope that our council, the mayor and Bruce Brown, really welcomes Jonathan Witt to come back to our community for next year, because I think this is the beginning of some wonderful things for the city of Port Huron. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the City Council?
Hello, my name is Carol Cataldo, and I just want to continue on the vein of thought Rock Stevens had brought up, that I also think, as much as John Witz has brought some wonderful new ideas to the community, I really do believe it's very premature to, without seeing the results of what this weekend is going to bring, that we extend the contract tonight. I think there's no reason why we can't wait a month. And that's just my thoughts on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have a gentleman right here who's been trying to make it down to the podium for a while.
That's the problems of having knee surgery less than a week ago. Anyway, Darren Rushing, 618 14th Street. Been a while. It's really good to see everybody actually have an opinion. I like seeing that. That being said, I don't want to be up here and bash everybody. A lot of that goes on, and it's more or less a thankless job. I did want to bring up just a specific point and kind of an ideal. I wanted to actually thank Councilman Miller personally when the water rate vote went through and you voted no. And you pointed out that during the election that, you said you wouldn't do it, and you stuck by your morals, and you followed through on that. I do appreciate that. Councilman Fisher, Councilman Mueller, same thing, but you've had that opinion for the entire time, so anyway, it means something to me. I originally, I even come up with a 6% raise myself, but I had come up with a plan that gave something back to the city. And I think it's unrealistic to assume that you'll never have a water rate increase. Everything gets more expensive, including the water. Everything in business, everything in government gets more expensive. Councilman Mueller, the the idea with the vote and everything that you just laid out, I think that's an excellent idea. I don't believe that there's any reason that the costs of any city services, bar some catastrophic event, should ever raise above the cost of living. And the thing that I think anybody would think is that the city government is there for the benefit of the people, not necessarily the benefit of the city. And a lot of people come up and they'll bash everybody for anything under the sun. And I think that's what it comes down to, is what is the motivation behind what the changes or whatever are we doing? Are we benefiting the city itself, or are we benefiting the citizens? And sometimes that can be a fine line, but I'm a little disappointed myself with the 6% raise, and I don't see within the city itself where certain cuts couldn't have been made, or that difference couldn't have been made up somewhere else. And I just wanted to leave that thought in your mind about, are we benefiting the citizens? Or at least are we getting their input first? That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the city council this evening?
Anthony America, Port Huron. After 20, 30, 40 years, the biggest crook in St. Clair County still gets away with paying no taxes. He goes under the Corporation of Innovative Housing Corporation. Good God, how can some people steal money like crazy and other people have to pay their taxes? The man owns a mansion in Florida. He owns a mansion north of Port Huron. He has paid no taxes. Innovating Housing Corporation, like that young lady there says, why do some people not have to pay taxes? How long can you keep this free thing going? Don't pay no taxes. Don't pay no taxes. If your name is Edward Schultz and you're a crook, you can get away with it. Innovative housing. Baloney.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the city council this evening? Seeing no one, the public audiences is now over, and we will proceed with the agenda, and the consent agenda is next. Is there a motion?
Mayor Rapp?
Yes, Councilmember
Move for the
Bowen.
adoption of the consent agenda, though I do agree with Mr. Harrison in regard to trying to keep our appointments within the city. But I move for the adoption.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Archibald. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Lewandowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Miller.
Yes.
Councilmember Moeller.
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald. Yes. Councilmember Fisher.
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Under the consent agenda, we received and filed a legal opinion from Miller Canfield concerning a proposed charter amendment to limit the city's authority to increase water and sewer rates by a certain amount each year. We confirmed and declared a single lot assessment in the total amount of $2,950.82 for removing noxious weeds or unlawful growths or blighting factors. Number of appointments, Mike Cansfield, Timothy Kearns to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, Darlene Jakulik and Joseph Vito to the Local Development Finance Authority, Linda Reichenbach and Ron Saffey to the Rental Housing Board of Appeals, Mike Cogley, James Dewey, and James McDonald to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Mike Rosso to the Planning Commission, Sean Groden and Darlene Jakulik to the Tax Increment Finance Authority, Kathy Holt, Kevin Banker, and William Vogan to the Historic District Commission, and David Haynes to the Quality of Life Commission, and also a confirmed and declared single lot special assessments for $2,998.65 for sidewalk replacement, and gave an ordinance its third and final reading and enactment, which was to repeal ordinance 749 and adopt a new ordinance to grant to the Detroit Edison Company the right to operate an electric generation, transportation, and distribution business within the city of Port Huron for a period of 30 years. And at this point, then, we would move on to communications and petitions number 1.
Is a legal opinion from Corporation Counsel concerning the procedure to be followed should the council wish to have one meeting in July and August.
Do we have a motion to receive and file in this opinion? Yes. Councilmember Lewandowski, is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Archibald, is there discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Yes, Councilmember Moeller.
for Mr. Fletcher, the intent of the charter, I would assume, is that we have 2 meetings?
Correct.
Just wanted to point that out. In the last council, I got accused of not following the intent, so I just want to make that point. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Yes, Councilmember Fisher.
I remember a few years ago this came up, and I voted no on it because we talked as a council about how much work we had to do and everything. Summer's nice. Summer's a great time to live on the water, to be here, to take vacations. But that's not why we're here. That's not why the 7 of us are here, is to take vacations. We're here to get some work done for the city. There are some things that need to be done. We're talking about changes to rental housing in the city, a number of other changes going on, festivals, different things. We can do this fancy 2-step that is talked about here in order to suspend 2 meetings so we can all have extra time off. But again, that's not why we're here, and I think it sends the wrong message to the citizenry that we care more about vacations than getting the city's work done. So I don't support doing this. I think we should have our full meeting slate through the summer.
Other discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Yes, Councilmember Moeller.
I'm going to vote to support the legal opinion, but I would not support.
This is just to receive and file the legal opinion. If somebody wanted to do something
I
different.
just want to make it clear.
Right.
I'll support the legal
I
opinion,
was
but
gonna
I'm not
bring
going
that
to
up.
support the
Right.
adjournment. Thank you.
No, I would have brought that up at the time. If someone wants to do something different, they would need to have a motion to do that separately.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Then we're just going to vote on receiving and filing the opinion.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Moeller,
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Councilmember Fisher.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski.
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Move on to from the city manager.
Is a recommendation that the bid of Proline Asphalt Paving Corporation in the amount of $340,839.38 for the milling and resurfacing of Appomattox Avenue area be accepted.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Fisher, is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Ruiz, is there discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Yes, Councilmember Lewandowski.
Bob, can you tell us how much we budgeted for this item?
Mayor Rep and council members, the amount approved in this year's budget for this project is $650,000.
Quite a bit of savings, thanks.
Half the price?
That was very good bids.
Any other discussion?
That includes any engineering cost, whatever, but yes, that's true. But it's still, we estimate our engineering cost of this project, we're going to do all in-house, will be about 10 to 15% of the total project cost.
Still a savings, quite a bit.
Quite a bit of savings, yes.
Mayor Rep,
Yes, Councilmember Moeller.
what fund is this taken out of, Bob?
This is out of the street millage money that the voters approved.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Thank you. We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Moeller,
No.
Councilmember Ruiz,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Fisher,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski,
Yes.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, we'll move on to resolutions. Number 1.
Is authorizing payments 1 through 46.
Mayor Rep,
Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
I so move that we pay our bills.
Is there a second?
Support.
Councilmember Fisher, is there discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Fisher?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Moeller?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. We are now at resolution number 11.
Is approving the agreement with the state of Michigan to extend their lease for the rental of space on the 5th floor of the Municipal Office Center for an additional 5 years.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Moeller, is there a second?
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller. It was a joint one, but there you go. Is there discussion? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Fisher?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Moeller?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Number 12.
Is authorizing the Port Huron Museum to sell 2 Montague Dawson paintings known as The Guardian and The Passing Shadows, with the proceeds of the sale being used to assist the museum with their operational costs.
Do we have a motion?
Mayor Rep, I so move resolution number 12 be adopted and accepted.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Is there a second?
Support.
Councilmember Ruiz, is there discussion?
Mayor, if I may, I sat through some meetings with as a liaison with the McMorran Board, and they've had extensive discussion here. And the way I understand this is these paintings are not greatly desired by McMorran or anybody right now, but the purchaser is a family member, and he'd like, if I understand correctly, he would like to retain them as a private collection. And from what I'm hearing, the price was pretty reasonable. I don't know if they've settled on it. So I'm encouraged, and I think since it's a family member, I like the idea if the paintings are going to revert back to private hands. I think it's probably the best resolution.
Is there other discussion?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Lewandowski.
McMorran Authority did authorize, I know it says in here, I just want to let people know they did authorize the sale because it was in their possession at one time.
Correct.
Just wanted to let everybody know that.
Mayor, for Mayor Pro Tem Miller, by family, you mean the McMorran family?
No, if I recall right, it's the artist nephew. He wants
The
to
artist
purchase.
family.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I understand correctly.
Is there any other discussion? I didn't think that was the case. So, and I see a shaking head out in the audience. I think it's the Tyson family. Am I correct? The paintings that donated them to the city is descendants of that family, not the others. Of the Tyson family, right? No, the McMorran? Oh, Kiefer. Okay. Okay. Okay.
So the donator's family member is willing to purchase them back. Okay, that's what it was.
Is there any other discussion on this? It is something that the museum did discuss with McMorran, so I know that they are in agreement with it, and they are working together on this to do this. And the museum has paid the insurance on these paintings over the years and had them in their possession. So I think they've worked out an equitable agreement between the two of them, so I certainly support it. Is there any other discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Fisher?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewandowski?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Moeller?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Resolution number 14, please.
Is approving an agreement to amend the festival management and staging agreement with Jonathan Witz and Associates Incorporated to extend the original agreement to provide for the same arrangement for a July 2011 festival, if a festival is to be held, and to provide for a reduction in fees in exchange for the extension.
Do we have a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we table this. I'm very excited about what they're doing, and I'm very optimistic it's going to be, well, go ahead. I'll just make a motion that we table, and then I'll speak.
Could I just step in for a second, a little bit out of but I just want to step in just because I'm not sure if you realize that if you table it, there's absolutely no discussion.
Okay.
And Mr. Witz is in the audience tonight, so I believe he is. I think we do at least need to hear what it was about. So if you table it, it would kill the whole item. So you didn't have a second yet, so I thought I'd jump in and tell you that in case you weren't aware.
Okay.
So if somebody does, we could either go outside of it, but I think if somebody just put a motion to have it on the floor, then at least.
I'll do that.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Fisher. Support. Thank you, Councilmember Archibald. And I do believe that's something that if Mr. Witz could address us, we would certainly like to have the opportunity to ask you questions. Thank you.
I also understand there was some public discussion that I wasn't here for too, so if anybody on council would want to share any of the concerns too, I'd be happy to answer them if you thought there were concerns from the audience, just why we're here, if you thought that was relevant. I'm just offering the ability since I wasn't here when some of the comments were made prior to that. So.
Okay, well, I think we'll have an opportunity for all of us to ask questions, but perhaps you could go over what exactly we're doing this year.
In this specific deal that I had suggested to Bruce was the idea, we're on a little bit of a, closeness with the budget. We're a little bit behind where we want. I think things could go well. There is some heat in the forecast for the weekend. So what I was trying to do was give the city $10,000 of relief, which could be very meaningful in exchange for an option if the city were to go forward. So you had no risk in the sense that the city was not going to do a festival, there wouldn't be any obligation to us, but we could save the city $10,000 on the budget, which I think would be a very meaningful savings where we were at. And I've been working with Bruce and Leanne closely on the budget, and I think we've accomplished a lot of entertainment and activities, for the allotment compared to other events that we've done, and have done some good. I want to, just on a positive note, I think we've extended the festivities through Saturday, which is going to be important for the downtown. We've added family activities throughout, all days, all the time. We've generated a lot of publicity. Fox 2, for example, is coming up and spending 3 hours in Port Huron on Friday. Channel 7's coming up on Saturday and doing things. And there's just a lot of nice coverage. I also want to say that we were able to, on our own, generate, and this was not necessarily something we had to do, but we've generated $70,000 in sponsorship, which is more than our fees were, for the event. So we brought a lot to the table, and I think, just if you can see what the reason we're asking for the deal now to you, and the concern is because for us, once the festival's over, why would we give up the $10,000, in the we just wouldn't have a reason necessarily in my mind to do it. We're trying to do it beforehand and create an incentive and a win-win. And I understand, people might be concerned about it, and I'm here to answer questions, but I think the writing's been on the wall that we've had good press and publicity. We have a good entertainment program, that's free. I mean, I've seen people in the blogs compare it, hey, why isn't it like Bay Festival? You're also not paying $55 or whatever a ticket to get in either. We've had good sponsorship. We've had the Soaring Eagle come in. They haven't been in before and done things, and other companies we've been able to bring in. So I was just hoping that the writing might be on the wall that the city would want to save the $10,000, which I think would be meaningful, and that I wasn't that big of a risk, to be, working with in the future. And like I said, I know there have been some concerns, in the community about a few issues here and there, so I'm also prepared to give you my best answer on those as well, so.
Okay. I think
Just
I'll just allow if council would like to ask questions about the arrangement or about the festival. Is there anyone who would like to?
If I could make a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
One of the things that I think Jonathan is concerned about that he hasn't expressed here tonight is, let's say that this festival is a smashing success, which I hope it is, or I'm going back to Grand Rapids Monday. And it will be. Believe me, it's well planned, and it's an exciting event. If our agreement with him is through this event only, and let's say that it's a smashing event, and next year we decide to do the same thing, but either with another promoter or by ourselves, and we draw upon all of the work and all of the contacts that we have made through Jonathan. And I think what I saw us trying to do, and I thought it seemed like a win-win at the time, was that we would commit to Jonathan the second year so that he would know we weren't going to steal his work and his contacts for our own benefit next year in exchange for $10,000 off of this year's budget, which, by the way, we're okay as far as the budget is concerned. But more than that, as of October 1, if we decide that the festival was a bust and we don't want to do anything, we notify Jonathan and the game is over at that point in time. So the risk is that we don't go ahead, or we go ahead with another promoter, and it will end up costing us a net $10,000 next year if we decide to go ahead. So that was and frankly, we can probably raise the $10,000 if we have to. It just seemed like a smart thing to do at this point in time, but we can live with it either way.
Yeah, we're happy. I mean, we're fine if it's not approved tonight. There's no, there's no issue. We're happy to go and take that. And again, and it's interesting, Bruce. I'm not actually that necessarily concerned about the content. I think the festival ideas might be good, but I think if things go well, I'm not necessarily worried about not being hired back, because I think we bring a lot of sponsorship to the table. I think that I was hoping to create a win-win and just provide the relief on the budget, which I'm concerned about more than Bruce, only because part of the budget, requires sales of drinks, and beer and carnival to hit a certain level, and until that happens, I think having a $10,000 savings would mean something, there. And I think our work has demonstrated, has made a good case for that we wouldn't be that big of a, risk, to come back. Again, not everybody in the community is necessarily appreciated, some of the directions and ideas, but we've been trying to bring the best practices of events that we've had and try and help take this event to a new level. And you can't always, meet everyone's expectations when you do that. But anyway.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Moeller.
Mr. Wood, how positive are you that this is going to be a successful event?
Well, I think that if the weather cooperates 100% positive and believe in it, I think it, I think.
So you're willing to give us 2 more weeks then to give us the same deal?
I wouldn't do it, but I think in 2 weeks you would. I think in 2 weeks you would want to do the deal, and we wouldn't really be in a position to necessarily, give the break. And I'm saying maybe it would be, maybe it wouldn't be. I would only say, Councilman Mueller, that in addition to planning the event and working on it, we also raise the money for it as well. I mean, we also help bring new supporters and corporations outside of the city of Port Huron, beyond the generosity of ENA and Physicians Healthcare and Port Huron Hospital. We brought some new corporate interest into the community to help pay for this, and I think that's a good thing. But let me specifically answer your question with regard, I do get concerned about the heat too, because that can take a little bit of your daytime crowds, away the temperatures, but I think the event is a success waiting to happen. Everything, all the ingredients are there for a great weekend, and the entertainment's there, the advertising's there, the Saturday programming's there. I think it'll be a good situation.
Yes, Councilmember Fisher.
Ever since this came up, I really haven't had an issue with it, but I guess I think of it in different ways. I've pretty much sold stuff all my life. That's what I do. And I really understand where you're coming from on this. A couple different ways to look at this. I see this no different as we do a reserve salt contract for salt on the roads. We get to save money if we do that, and we don't necessarily have to take it or use it. So you're offering us a $10,000 savings this year if we agree to go with you next year, if we do a festival. If we don't do a festival, there's no money out of pocket because we aren't going to do it. So this is the first year doing a festival like this. Another way to look at it, for those of you that ever bought newspaper advertising or any radio advertising, you can sign a contract and you agree to a whole bunch of ads through the whole year. Well, you don't know if it's effective or not because you haven't run one ad yet, but they give you a discount if you're going to do the whole series. And in essence, That's what Mr. Witz is doing. I really don't have an issue with this. If it doesn't, again, he's got no reason to offer $10,000 offer this year after the festivals happened. So there's no, the only teeth in the agreement are now. And again, I don't, having dealt with stuff like this for close to 30 years, I really don't see the issue or have an issue with it. So, and on a positive benefit to you, first time ever I had somebody come up with me and say, wow, who's this guy running this thing? Because I heard him on WJR, heard him here, this is going to be great. Out of the blue, today, somebody came up to me and said this. It was actually one of my coworkers that actually stopped me. And it was pretty amazing. I've never had anything like that happen. So I think you're doing a good job promoting the thing so far. Weather's not in your control, though.
No, and I think that is the only tangible. One thing heat does, it makes the days tougher, but they certainly make the nights beautiful. So I don't anticipate, I think the nights are going to rock. All 3 nights are going to be outstanding. But, just one of the things we're doing is opening at 11 o'clock and trying to get some, daytime traffic activity and things going, and get the music out there to try and get people in a little earlier. So I think that's where, you could run into, an issue with the 90-degree temperatures. But I'm flexible. This has been a great experience, and, I think I've really enjoyed working with, Bruce's team and your team. I mean, the police, fire leadership, DPW, the engineers related to the bridges. I mean, everyone has had a let's make it happen, attitude. So I think I don't say this with any arrogance whatsoever. I think we would work together again if we don't do this tonight. I don't see any reason why it would happen, but I was trying to work with Bruce and Leanne on the budget, since things have been positive so far, to try and create a savings for the city that you can count on, money that doesn't matter no matter what happens to the weekend. It's $10,000 on the bottom line, that you guys can take to the bank. And, I think the record speaks for itself. Again, just because it looks good on paper, we have to see it all happen. And I do want the opportunity, if there's anything from public comment that anyone wanted to ask about, too, I did want to at least respond from the planning perspective if there was anything that you guys wanted to restate or ask about that was mentioned in the audience at all.
Well, one of the questions had to do with the boaters who are in the marina on a permanent summer-long time that they've been told that they can't.
And I would love to respond to that. I met with Monica, who I understand spoke earlier over the weekend, and maybe there was a misunderstanding. What we had talked about was that no alcohol, which was the policy, the ordinance, and the stuff we discussed would be allowed on the sidewalk area, that both the boats and the docks were fine, but that, we were having a policy where people couldn't bring in, drinks. And, one of the things that she said when we discussed it is she wanted to know what the cost of the drinks were and how much were beers, because people were paying $8. And I wanted to announce this kind of, great beer policy that we came up with. We'll see it works, never done it before. But we're charging $5 for beer, but if you're from the city of Port Huron, have an idea, it's going to be only $4. So, the price is very reasonable compared to what it was last year. It's much less than you go to a ball game. So we think it's affordable, and that revenue, I think, will allow, also the city to still make money on its budget. But the restriction on the boaters was not that they could bring anything in. And I'll tell you, there was a little confusion on that issue, which I talked to Dave Brown at Atchison this morning, and we came up with an idea on that. I had also said to Monica that we were not looking to have people bring in food and drink after the festival opens, because we're restricting it just like we would the public. So I think there was a little bit of a concern there. I said, could you pass the word on to have the stuff brought on before 11 a.m. on any of the days? And then what Dave called me today and said that was a big concern, and what we worked out is that they were going to provide ID cards to everybody who had boat space, and that anybody with an ID card could bring, their food and beverage in at any time. So, I don't know if that message got back to Monica yet or not, but, we did have a conversation with the Atchison folks, and we worked out, I think, what was a fair plan, to protect the ability to bring stuff. The other concern was setting up picnics and food on the sidewalk, because we were concerned about right-of-way and egress, because if we bring 20 or 30,000 more people, and people are setting up tables where people are walking, and we have more people than we had last year, that it could be a dangerous situation. So, what we realized is that the picnic tables already creating, a little bit of a blockage anyway, the sidewalk. So any activity that happens on the picnic tables, we're just going to leave in place. And these are all things that were discussed, this morning. So I think we have a good and fair plan to take care of the boaters. The other concern that was mentioned to me by Monica was parking. We had some, needs potentially for the parking lots that are on that side, and we've, given up those needs, and I mentioned that to her directly. The other issues weren't necessarily all resolved, but that one I said specifically that there's no, that we were going to leave the parking as status quo, that the boaters should get in early, for those spaces, because